He's Maryland's all-time scoring leader. He's leading the nation in goals per game and points per game. He's a finalist for the Tewaaraton. We can exhaust every superlative on number one in white. The reality is, Quint, no one's been able to stop him.
Well, how's he do it? Well, he's a man on a mission. He's hyper fast. I mean, you're talking about the fastest guy in the field. He's got an extra gear. The shooting arsenal has gone through the roof in the last 2 years. Since the passing of his dad and flirting with playing college football, he has returned to campus, and Coach Tillman talked about his mental clarity. One goal, and that is a national championship.
Family affair for the Bernhardts. Jared's brother Jesse, an assistant for Maryland. Oldest brother Jake, an assistant for Vermont. Meanwhile, Quint, for the Catamounts, first ever NCAA tournament, brave new world. What gives them a chance to pull off the upset?
Face-offs. That's a Maryland Achilles heel and a Vermont strength. Tommy Burke, sophomore from Palm Beach, Florida. Number 3 in the country in face-off winning percentage. Possession is 9/10 the law. Possession can trigger an NCAA upset.
Tommy Burke has won 72% of his face-offs, 3rd nationally. An early face-off violation on Maryland. So Vermont's got the ball to begin. And 44 in green, their best player on offense, Thomas McConvey, leading scorer, first team all-conference. Had 4 goals, 2 assists in the America East Championship game. Vermont coached by Chris Fifes, now in his 5th season. An early shot and a save by Logan McNaney for Maryland. One of the early themes in this NCAA tournament. The goalie for the winning team in each of the first 5 games has been spectacular. First run on offense for the Terps. A team that's 12-0 on the season, outscoring opponents by more than 9.5 goals per game. And here is Bubba Fairman, senior out of Sandy, Utah. Part of that first midfield, and now Jared Bernhardt. Kyle Long, a prolific feeder from the midfield, over to Fairman.
Vermont opens up a man-to-man.
A shot and a save by Ryan Cornell. Daniel Maltz fired it on cage, and Vermont will set up the clear. You look at the numbers on Cornell. Nick Galvini has it knocked away by John Gebert. Here comes Maryland the other way.
Maryland's been a slow starting team this season. They trailed Rutgers by 3. They fell behind Michigan 5-0. But one thing they've done in almost every game this year, they've gone on a monster run, 5 or more goals, typically in the 2nd or 3rd quarters.
Vermont turns it over, back to Maryland.
Catamounts coming off a successful America East Tournament Championship victory over Albany, and you watch that game, they showed incredible body language throughout that contest. It was like there was no doubt in their mind they were going to beat the Great Danes for the 3rd time this season. Also watched their tapes against Syracuse, where they were able to score against the Orange. I expect you'll see them possess the ball, hopefully with Tommy Burke winning draws if you're a Catamount fan, and you'll see probably some extreme patience on a
lot of teams were able to score against the Orange this season. Here's Bernhardt. He's got his man hung up. He's been getting the top side at will, and Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Maryland's all-time leading goal scorer, and one of 5 finalists for the Tewaaraton Award, the highest individual honor in the sport of college lacrosse. Burke wins the faceoff for Vermont.
I'll tell you, Burke's really good. He's always whistle ready. When you're watching faceoff today, watch how high he is in his stance and how light on his hands he is. He's whistle ready. He wins draws less on power and more being twitchy. That is the quick hands, the balance, and the smoothness of his moves.
McConvey plays it back to David Klosterman, team leader in assists. And here is Michael McCormack. He is a threat from one of the moons of Jupiter. I mean, incredible range and power. Vermont is on the board. J.J. Lewandowski, his 18th of the season. The sophomore Parks and Rec major.
Anyone got better uniforms than Vermont? I love that green. Watch this kid. IMG. Took a fall semester at Syracuse, ends up transferring to Vermont. Little shake and bake up top, a left to right move down the alley, his 18th goal of the season. You watch Vermont on tape, one thing that stands out. He may not be the biggest cat in the world, he's got power and range, that time doing it on the run.
Maryland's wings, it's Joshua Kaufman coming up with the ground ball off the faceoff, and here come the Terps. How does Vermont defend Bernhardt?
Here you see a quick double team from the adjacent man, the shorty, Stone Jacobs, the midfielder.
Griffin Brown down the alley. Back to X, Logan Wisnauskas leading Maryland in assists. Cornell came out of the cage, retreats back in. They call Wisnauskas Groot, soft-spoken. Teddy Roosevelt type player, carries a big stick. Eric Molliver, talented freshman from Atlanta, now back to Maltz, who's averaging a hat trick per game this season. Wisnauskas down the alley, Bernhardt gets topside again, and Alviti wins the race to the end line. Vermont ball.
77 in green.
To the ball, where it goes out of bounds, gets possession on a shot. There's an 80-second shot clock that triggers on possession, and teams have to get it across the midfield line within the first 20 seconds, so before that clock hits 60. Sal Ioria, part of that second midfield. Bainbridge Island, Washington native. No work on Roman Puglisi. Ioria feeding the middle. It's knocked down. A sea of white shirts. Maryland had it. Vermont off the scramble. Had a good look. Unable to connect. And it's Klosterman with those long, flowing Lannister locks.
I tell you, that kid, 10. That young man plays his guts out. He is fearless. He'll take the ball into traffic. He's always hustling. He's a junkyard dog. 10 in green.
Clay Weiss now, the freshman, down the alley. A Vermont team that tasted defeat in the America East Championship in 2016, 2018, 2019, finally breaking through this year. Chris Fife's telling us it reminded him of how North Carolina's program came of age. Some postseason tournament struggles and early defeats before breaking through in 2016. And Fifes was an assistant on that team for Joe Bresci.
Terps winning the perimeter matchups.
Yeah, they're winning the one-on-one matchups. Vermont not able to dodge.
That was a defensive clinic from Roman Puglisi, number 8 in white. Defensive midfielder. was a second midfield for the Catamounts, and nobody could gain any kind of dodging traction.
The winner of this game will get Notre Dame in South Bend in the quarterfinals next weekend.
This is not where you want to be for the Vermont defense.
He's got him on a yo-yo. Anthony DeMeo, fifth-year senior from San Diego. Entry pass denied. Cornell could not pick it up out of the cage. DeMeo gets it back. Maltz thought about it from the outside. Wisnauskas, that's his sweet spot, the right wing. He's got the short stick matchup. Wisnauskas to the cage.
Terp Nation loves it. Maryland is a great passing team this year, defined by their rapid ball movement. Wisnauskas, though, with the matchup, he's going to take his man towards the goal line extended. Leaning in, the big lefty goes to his right. Oh, head and shoulder fake.
After Jared Bernhardt scored the opening goal of the game, that's him pointing to the Vermont bench and singling out his older brother Jake, a Vermont assistant. John Tillman telling us Jesse, who is in the middle, an assistant for Maryland, the most easygoing. Jake, the most demonstrative. And Jared, believe it or not, the quietest. But this is a brotherly affair, and both coaches told us a story when these two teams scrimmaged last year. Early in the game, Jared Bernhardt absolutely trucked a Vermont player and then runs by the Vermont sideline, and he and Jake have a little back and forth, and John Tillman said, you know, do I say anything to him? But now this is a family thing. I'm going to let it go. And Chris Fipes told us the same thing. Both had identical versions of the story.
All three quiet, low-key team guys. Jesse and Jake representing Team USA, outstanding players and young coaches with bright futures. Mom Catherine watching this game. The dad, as I said earlier, passed away in the summer of 2019. Jim Bernhardt, longtime college and pro football coach.
Bernhardt again gets top side. The save made by Cornell.
Cornell looks good, Anish. He was a question mark in my eyes coming into this game.
I mentioned goalie play in this tournament. Save percentages by the winning goalies so far. Alex Road of Virginia, 62%. Colin Krieg for North Carolina, 88%. Owen McElroy for Georgetown, 56%. Liam Entenmann, 68%. Colin Kirst for Rutgers, 77%.
He's my guy. He's the best of the bunch. If I had one goalie to pick for one game, it would be Rutgers goalie Colin Kirst. But that is symptomatic of the shot clock era. You're dealing with good teams. They're going to get shots.
Lewandowski gives it up. This Maryland defense anchored by Brett Makar and Nick Grill, two of the best. And Vermont turns it over.
That's an issue right now if you're the Catamounts. That's your fifth turnover of this ball game, making things too easy. Settle down.
Vermont head coach Chris Fipes played at Maryland for Dave Cottle. He mentioned Cottle, Joe Bresci, John Tillman, all as big coaching influences, and his assistant coach Jake Bernhardt, who he feels will be a head coach in the future. Wisnauskas spins it behind, and a save by Cornell on the shot from Bubba Fairman.
Telegraphed it. Cornell did a little cool in the gang, getting down on it. Snuffed that one out. He's off to a good start, but if you're Vermont's defense, don't be fooled. Maryland's getting quality shots.
Alviti over to McCormack.
McConvey, 44 in green. and McCormack 97. Got to get those two some looks.
Vermont sloppy here. Nearly a 6th turnover, but instead we'll get a flag on Maryland. They're going to get Justin Schur. Griffin Fennick over to Liam Limoges. There's a part of you that wants McCormick to let it rip from out there. He can. Outside shot wide, and Vermont with a 40% EMO conversion rate will go man up.
White 17, illegal body check, 1 minute. White 17, illegal body check for 1.
Opportunity for Vermont in specialty situations. It's a good unit, as you said, 40%, because the Canadian, the inside influence and the skill of a Limoges, 46, Klosterman on the wing, and then the hammer, Michael McCormack with the big lefty release up top.
I didn't see John Tillman with the iPad. Brock Haley, number 11, in on that man-up unit. There's Klosterman, 7 extra man goals. Now McConvey fires and scores. Thomas McConvey, his 4th extra man goal, and Vermont ties it at 2.
That's what the doctor ordered for the fans in Burlington. Thomas McConvey can play for any team in the country. 6'4", 210 junior from Toronto. 34th goal of the season from the midfield. Okay, he's super smart. He's a gamer. He's got a body of a 24-year-old pro and production to match it.
Both teams have 1-2 face-offs. Burke wins this one for Vermont, then has it knocked away. Justin Shockey for Maryland in pursuit, and the Terps come away with it. It's Kaufman. There's Bernhardt now. Goes up with one hand to catch it.
It's a great face-off example for the Maryland team right there, and they want to turn this one-on-one, tie Burke up as long as possible, make it a 3-on-3. Their odds skyrocket incrementally by extending the draw portion. Make it a 3-on-3 scrap.
Eric Molliver, freshman from Atlanta, feeding the cutter that was Griffin Brown. Grad transfer from Colgate, and it's a Maryland turnover, their 3rd. Vermont having issues on the clear. They still have a few seconds to get it across. And they do. You have until that shot clock hits 60. You can go over and back until the shot clock hits 60.
I said earlier, Maryland's a slow starting team this year, so this is not unexpected. They're also dealing with final exams this week. And if you look closely at history, Maryland in the first round of the NCAA playoffs, they have not played A-plus games. They have struggled a bit in this round. They've been exceptional in the quarterfinal round.
Now, we've seen them obliterate teams in the quarters. 7-1 in the quarters under John Tillman. Here comes McConvey, the big Canadian. Now Klosterman. No angle. Logan McNaney in the cage for Maryland. He has never lost a game as a starting goalie. 13-0. From John Tillman's hometown of Corning, New York. Here comes McConvey. Grill came over to help. Nick Grill, 54 in white, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. McCormack has not been able to get his hands free. Geppert all over him. On the ground, and too many of these Vermont possessions ending without a shot attempt.
And that is
7 first-quarter turnovers. There's Alex Smith, plays it to the wing. Wisnauskas passed up a shot. Bernhardt inside, and he's got his second.
Tell you, there is no I in team. This was a team goal. On-ball defense by Geppert, who I think is a star in the making, getting better. Former midfielder, now switched to pole. And then the ground ball play. Ray Hill comes up with it. The smooth handle by Makar and the outlet pass. And Maryland runs. The early offense, Maltz to Bernhardt inside, and you see the athletic ability of that young man. Talked about it earlier. He's got speed, he's got balance, he's got the ability to process in the gray area, to make decisions, and he makes it look so smooth and so easy.
2 goals for Bernhardt today, 55 on the season. That's tops in Division I. That Big Ten semifinal, Michigan just had no answer. He had 8 goals, 2 assists in that game.
He got a clean jersey when that game was over, too, because the Wolverines didn't exactly take the body. You've got to play with a hockey-like mentality in the slot. Bernhardt was just tiptoeing through the tulips.
Griffin Fennick now, checked by Ajax Zapatello, the freshman. Ajax, one of the heroes of the Iliad. Great warrior in Greek mythology. Vermont keeps turning it over. Here comes Maryland, unsettled. Bernhardt spins it to Maltz. Skip pass, step down shot, and a score. Joshua Kaufman. And it's 4-2 Terps.
Turnover City at the other end. Bernhardt makes the extra pass. The lob pass over the top to the trailer. Beautifully done. Another example of wonderful teamwork, unselfish lacrosse. Be the best.
When J.L. Reppert took the Holy Cross job right before the season, Maryland hired Bobby Benson to be the offensive coordinator, and this is a staple of Bobby Benson's offenses. Bernhardt with a first quarter hat trick. 5-2, Maryland. His older brother Jake can only look on the Vermont sideline.
Got a hat trick in the first quarter. Spoke about Maryland goal scoring runs, and that's a tight 3-goal run. Look at the way he uses Maltz as a screen, knowing that the defender has to scrape underneath that. And what that's going to do is going to free up his hands, and he's going to be able to plant and get full velocity on that with perhaps a partial screen.
11 hat tricks now, and this is Bernhardt's 13th game. Here's Geppert in the final seconds. 2 seconds, he lost it. Maryland closes quarter number 1 on a 3-0 run. Jared Bernhardt, one of the favorites for the Tewaaraton Award. He's one of 5 finalists. Came in leading the nation in goals per game, points per game. He has rewritten the Maryland record books. And in round 1, off to a furious start. 3 goals, letting Big Brother know.
It's just pop-up storms basically all around.
Chris Fife's the head coach for Vermont, telling us that losses in the America East Championship game in 2016, 18, and 19 helped get his team here in 2021. He said they learned they had to upgrade at the faceoff X. TD Erlin in 2018 took their lunch money. They lost in 2019, partly on a stick check. They've upgraded the defensive midfield, the rope unit, and especially the faceoff X, bringing in Tommy Burke. Maryland has been the standard in the sport since John Tillman got to College Park, and the way he's adapted, Quint, you go back to those early teams, 2011, 2012, little off the radar, but making championship runs. Then he got better talent, and he let his guys play, and he changed his approach as his personnel shifted.
His approach this season, as we're playing lacrosse in a global pandemic, I thought it's really shown the personal side and his ability to connect and form relationships with these players and gauge where they are. the players have been under a lot of stress. Daily testing, their lives impacted socially. He's used lacrosse practice to bring them together, not to hammer them or to grind them. And so he's really let his foot off the gas pedal. And he's had to change the way he's coached this season. Many times he'll bring the guys out early, they'll just sit around the field and chat. They'll play softball after practice. It's a much more relaxed feel.
Wisnowski's on the interior. He preached gratitude as DeMeo fires wide. How many times did he tell us during our call, we're playing lacrosse during a global pandemic. We have to be thankful we have that opportunity.
Fortunate to be playing. Let's not look at it as if what we don't have. We have the game. We have each other. That's all we need. Tell you, outside the last minute of that first quarter, Vermont was hanging in there. You know, they're down one, they're going to hold for the last shot, and then turnovers, 8 turnovers that led to that 3-goal run over 109 to end the first quarter.
The face-off battle, which was supposed to be an advantage for Vermont, in Maryland's favor, 5-4. Lewandowski has a hand in both Vermont goals. He plays catch with Fennick. Against Alex Smith, 39 in white. His dad, DeMaurice Smith, head of the NFL's Players Association. Fosterman spins back. 20 to shoot, retrieved by Fennick. Brett Makar all over him. The Yorktown missile. Shot clock at 7. McConvey draws the slide. 3 to shoot. He's got to get rid of it. And a turnover. Shot clock violation, and that's a delay of game. That was supposed to be a quick restart for Maryland. McConvey rolled the ball away after the shot clock expired. A delay of game penalty.
Green, 4-4, delay of game. Green, 44, delays of game, 30-second technical.
You see on the whistle, watch how he rolls the ball backwards about 5 yards. That's an automatic. That's a zero tolerance rule. You've got to drop the ball where you are. A little bit of a mental mistake. Right now, I think if you're Chris Fifes, you're just trying to get your team to playing just Vermont lacrosse. Don't worry about the score. Don't worry about Maryland. Let's find our game here, boys.
Big shot and a big save. Griffin Brown, the Colgate transfer. And it's Cornell coming up with the save.
That was terrific by Ryan Cornell. Driving that top hand across his face. Going to the offside high corner.
Vermont gives it back. Even strength. Cornell was terrific in that America East semifinal against Stony Brook, especially in the second half. Came back from a torn Achilles as a sophomore. Played midfield until 9th grade.
All goalies should.
Why?
You learn about the game. You learn what shooters want. You learn defensive roles. You improve as an athlete and as a lacrosse player. For situations right like this.
Kyle Long gets inside! And Long finds the back of the net for Maryland at 6-2. And that's 4 unanswered.
This is the hung situation with the goalies out of the net helping in the double team. Inside roll, eludes the trail check, and then the backhander by Long, who's been an absolute spark for Maryland this year. This guy is a juice player. In that first Rutgers game, he had a hit and a goal. He turned the game just with his energy. And you see the infectious celebrations that happen when Kyle Long scores goals.
Shockey and Burke lock horns. Go back 2 years, Quint. We did the game. Maryland and Towson in 2019. Kyle Long as a freshman, first playoff game. A goal and 4 assists, and he assisted on the game winner and the game tying goal.
Somewhere along the line, perhaps somebody will find out, will have an answer or a scheme that can mute the impact of Jared Bernhardt. Others will have to step up. This second midfield that's on the field right now did that in the Big Ten Finals, especially in the second half, where they got the majority of the runs and were more productive than the first midfield.
Eric Holden, the Hobart transfer. Now Brown, who led Colgate in goals the last 4 years, and here's Bernhardt. He's got 3 today, plays it up top. Give Jared Bernhardt an assist. And it's 5 straight for the Terps, now 7-2. Daniel Maltz, 3-point afternoon, his first goal.
Making the extra pass. Sharon the Rock. Earlier it was Maltz with 2 assists. Look at Bernhardt. The smooth operator puts it on Maltz's stick. Terps are rolling.
John Tillman told us in 2017 when Maryland won it all, Jared Bernhardt, a freshman then, and Tillman said he had to implore Bernhardt to shoot more. He said he was afraid to shoot at times, too passive, deferring to Matt Rambo and Colin Heacock and Connor Kelly. And even now, John Tillman says, sometimes they kind of have to give him that look and say, hey, nobody can stop you. Feel free to take over the game. He has taken over this game from the opening faceoff.
Such a team-first mentality. Jared coming back after potentially playing football at Ferris State as an option quarterback this season. I thought that the following year, 2018, he really perfected his game behind the goal after playing midfield in 2017, where it had Connor Kelly up top, and that connection was lethal. And then 19, I thought we saw the impact of losing his dad. I know what he was dealing with. I dealt with it myself. His dad is a revered figure, and you could see the ups and downs. Coach Tillman talked about the ups and downs in his daily life that any young athlete deals with. He's found mental clarity, and the further he's gotten from that, the better he's looked.
And he's never looked better than this season. Came in leading the country in goals per game, was shooting better than 50%. Unstoppable, a cheat code. Oliver thought about it, rolls back. Guarded by Iaria.
Future star, 4 and white.
Atlanta product. Liam Banks doing good work down in Atlanta, churning out some big-time lacrosse players. Eric Holden now, 150 points in his career at Hobart. His pass to Brown, and that'll be over and back. Vermont will pick it up. McCormick without a shot today. Grad transfer from Middlebury. Impact players from Division II and Division III this year, Quint. Charlie Bertrand, Kevin Rogers, McCormack. Mitch Wyckoff started on defense for Syracuse.
Great to see. I think it's proof and affirmation for D2 and D3 that the great players from those leagues and conferences can compete at the Division I level.
A dozen turnovers now for Vermont.
This is trouble.
Too many empty possessions. Here's Bernhardt. Sure to Wisnauskas.
Bernhardt in the open field, just so smooth and running at a pace that, and cutting at full speed.
Bernhardt, saved by Cornell. 6 saves for Ryan Cornell, and he's been the last line of defense for Vermont, and he's the only reason that this game isn't even further out of hand right now.
Played well, making his 14th start of the year. Prior years, he split time with Nick Washuta, very talented goalie for Vermont. There was a point in his career where Washuta had a class that conflicted with practice, and head coach Chris Fife's telling us that that's where Cornell kind of got reps with the first team, and they said, hey, this kid Cornell from Darien, Connecticut's a player.
A timeout by Vermont, and Ryan Cornell's brother, actually, Kyle, played on the Bryant team that lost to Maryland in round 1 in 2017, the year the Terps won the national championship. His parents, Jim and Kelly, making the trip to College Park.
Jim is a director for CBS for NFL football games, and Ryan wants to get into the TV industry when he graduates from Vermont. Our own Russ DeLynn, excuse me, he's producer. Our own Russ DeLynn, our stat man, works closely with Jim during the fall.
Is there anybody that Russ DeLynn doesn't work with?
Russ DeLynn, folks, working all 8 games this weekend. 20 hours of stat TV. And he will set a 2-day record for hot dogs, hamburgers, tacos, and pizzas ordered to his house.
Russ is going to hate me for this, but taking you behind the curtains, when we came on air for Georgetown, Syracuse yesterday, Russ had his mic open and we could hear him talking, sneezing, might have been ordering a pizza as we were going on air. So appreciate that, Russ. We remind you, NCAA men's lacrosse coverage continues next weekend for the quarterfinals. The action begins on Saturday, May 22nd at noon. For more information on the 2021 Men's Lacrosse Championship, visit ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Quint, you and I will be in South Bend next week for the quarterfinals. Cotter and Kark will be in Long Island. North Carolina, Rutgers, Virginia, and Georgetown in Long Island. And in South Bend, it'll be Notre Dame against the winner of this game, and then the winners of the 2 games to follow. Duke plays High Point, Denver plays Loyola. Vermont trying to end a 5-0 Maryland run. Liam Limoges looking for McConvey. Klosterman picks it up near the end line, shadowed by Rahill.
Vermont trying to find some rhythm in the settled offense. Maryland winning all the matchups on the perimeter, doing a nice job as well inside, clogging up passing lanes.
Limoges with a beautiful feed to McConvey, his second, and that ends the Terrapins' run.
Earlier you saw the range that McConvey displayed with a right-handed rip from the outside. Watch him post up on the inside here. 44 in green, right side of your screen. He's being covered by Grill, but he boxes him out like a power forward. Look at him. He gets inside position and uses his hips and his shoulders to keep Grill's stick away from his cross. Just like basketball. And the bigger man wins that matchup.
6'4", 210. Carving out some room in the paint. Shockey a face-off, and this has to be worrisome for Chris Fifes. You had Tommy Burke, 3rd in the country in face-off win percentage, and Maryland is 7 of 12 at the X.
Terps Fogos, nicknamed the Hog Pen. Shockey, Weirman, coached by their volunteer Tyler Barbarich. And they usually have a plan up their sleeve. They don't have great numbers this season. But anytime you count Maryland Fogos out of the equation, Anish, they seem to come back with these monster performances.
2017, John Garino was the third faceoff guy going into the postseason, turned into one of the playoff heroes. Bernhardt's got 4. A 5-point afternoon for Bernhardt.
If you're a high school or youth coach, grab that remote right now and hit record, because this is an offensive clinic. Wisnauskas from the wing, dodges, draws a double team, kicks it to X, one more inside. The triangle offense. It's as easy as tic-tac-toe.
Quint, it's been an onslaught. Maryland has 16 shots, 8 goals, and 14 of those shots are on cage. So no more Maryland possession shot jokes.
No, those were funny on yard sale early in the season with Coach Tillman. We had him as our guest.
Retired,
Maryland's
just
shooting
like the relaxing jinx.
Maryland's shooting 40% this season. Okay, ball movement is spectacular. They have some long dodgers, some guys that can break you down. Bernhardt obviously being the top of that list. Kyle Long's got good jets and quickness. So there's a little bit of everything in their game. They're not playing slow. They can score in transition. You know, my biggest question long term for them, Anish, is about the Big Ten and the conference. Because there was some poor defense played in the Big Ten this year. Hopkins, Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan all ranked 41st, 48th, 52nd, and 59th out of 64 teams. So you kind of sit back and you say, well, is Maryland's offense that good? Are those defenses that bad? How do you figure it out? I think the answer comes today, and it comes next week in South Bend.
It was a top-heavy league. It was Maryland, Rutgers, and then a sizable drop-off to Ohio State, Penn State, Hopkins, and Michigan. Vermont makes it 8-4, coming around to the crease.
I tell you, keep fighting. If you're Vermont right now, your mindset, you got 4 things on your mind. We earned and are thankful for this opportunity. We're going to be aggressive and relentless. We're not going to show any fear of losing or making a mistake, and we're never going to give up. And that's what you're seeing right now as they're mounting a mini comeback.
Jonas Hunter, his 5th of the season. Freshman from, or a sophomore, I should say, from Portland, Oregon. Lake Oswego High School. Burke has it. And Maryland took it away.
Vermont's roster really interesting. It's got a heavy dose of New England, Canada, and then Chris Fifes is branching out, pulling guys from Florida, Washington. He wants to build this program, which is the northernmost Division I lacrosse program in the country, in the mold of what Bill Tierney has done at Denver.
He told us having Ian McKay a few years ago, an all-time great at Vermont, has really opened up that Canadian pipeline even more so. Logan Wisnauskas, Cornell out of the cage, long. And that did not go in. That was a defender getting his body in there. Long is in the crease, Vermont ball. Now Quint is a goalie, you gotta love that. The D helping your goals against average.
The backside defender sometimes slips behind the goalie and can make a stop. And left side of your screen, let's see what happened here. Long from point blank range. Yeah, the D-man standing tall and big on the inside. You love that. Got to give those D-men positive feedback, young goalies out there, when they make plays for you like that. That's worthy of a high five, a hug, a way to go.
I'll buy you a fountain drink the next time we go out. Ioria against Alex Smith. Rolls inside, met by Grill, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, and now there's Makar. Yeah, that's not fun. Lewandowski's got a couple of points from the outside, shot blocked. drill off the ground and a whistle. A penalty against Maryland.
.39 white. I don't know. I do not agree with that call right there. That shoulder, I did not see the elbow come up. I did not see the hands come up. That, to me, looked like a shoulder hit. If that angle doesn't show the extension, perhaps.
Vermont 1 for 1 with the extra man. Klosterman's got 7 EMO goals. Lewandowski's got 4. Right on the inside. And Maryland with the denial. 13 turnovers now for Vermont. Another flag.
Back out. Back out. Back out. Green 4-2/1 minute. Green 42/1.
They get Stone Jacobs, sophomore from Quebec, less than 2 hours from Burlington.
By definition, a slash is anytime you swing your stick recklessly and make contact with your opponent, not on the stick or the gloves. So that would be a swing to an elbow, a shoulder, a helmet, or any other body part. Typically in playoff games, referees sometimes eat their flags. That wasn't the case last night, and that doesn't be the case today. For years, I remember when Dom Stargey was coaching Virginia. I was like, "Coach, your extra man down." He goes, "Quint, this is an NCAA playoff game. We don't anticipate there being very much called today." So I learned to downplay the specialty situations as we head closer to championship weekends.
Queensbury rules. Maryland on the season, 41%. On the man up. They tried the hidden ball trick. Vermont wasn't biting. Alviti off the carpet. MacGyver's out of trouble and then throws it away. Brown quickly the other way, and Maryland gives it right back. They had a chance to go up 5.
Alviti's a player to keep your eye on for Vermont going forwards. Number 77, the long pole defensive midfielder. 6'2" out of Connecticut. Bright future. 77 in green.
Chris Fife's telling us they feel he's the top long stick midi in the America East. Here comes Limoges. Maryland's defense has been all over these Catamounts. The first half comes to an end. Maryland using a 5-0 run that bridged the first and second quarter. Jared Bernhardt still unstoppable. Nothing has changed. 7 shots, 4 goals, 1 assist, and we've only played 30 minutes. The winner of this game will get Notre Dame next weekend in South Bend. Since John Tillman took over, Maryland has become a championship weekend fixture. They've got a 4-goal lead at the break. Kyle Long doing dirty work. Jared Bernhardt continues to rule. John Tillman's a single guy. I don't know if he's bought an engagement ring before, but I can tell you he's gone to Jared, and he went to Jared in the first half. A lot. 4 goals, 1 assist. I know I get roasted for that one, but I had to get it out of my system. Jared Bernhardt, 5 points in the first half. Quinn, he's a human cheat code. We have yet to see anybody slow him down.
Fun to watch. The variety of skills really stands out. And you just break down what was 30 minutes of lacrosse. He's 4 goals, 1 assist on 7 shots. Muscling his way top side, cutting through traffic and finishing from the top of the crease. In space, that's a change of direction that nobody can match with. So you put it all together, you've got a guy who's just so productive. Again, instincts, reading a defense, making decisions. I think if they played him at midfield, he'd be the best at that position. You could play him on defense, he'd be the best. He's just by far the best lacrosse athlete on the field.
Turnovers have been the issue for Vermont. Maryland has been credited with 9 caused turnovers, but 15 in the first half. When you're the underdog trying to pull off an upset, it's your first NCAA tournament game. Maryland a fixture at this stage and on this stage. Vermont has to clean it up here in the second half to have a chance.
Gotta be green, gotta be green, gotta be green.
Tommy Burke for Vermont, 3rd nationally in face-off win percentage, but Maryland has been winning the game at the X so far today. They've been doing it with Shockey. They've been doing it with the wings as well. Maryland now 9 out of 15 on faceoffs. Kyle Long, an outstanding passer over to Bernhardt. DeMayo finds Maltz. Daniel Maltz's older brother Dylan was on that Maryland title team in 2017. Brother Derek and dad both played at Syracuse. Here's Fairman.
The ball shouldn't die in sticks if Maryland is playing effectively. And their off-ball movement should look like marbles scattered on ice.
Wisnauskas to a cutting Bernhardt. Falling down, he lost it. And it's Sneath off the ground for Vermont.
Cherish the ball in the second half if you're Vermont. You know, minus that 3-goal run that the Terps had at the end of the first quarter, this game is fairly even. The score would be 5-4. Self-inflicted wounds, more turnovers than shots for the Catamounts.
Q, Vermont in the first half had trouble winning one-on-one matchups against Maryland. So what's the adjustment here in the second half?
More picks, more 2-man games, whether it's behind the goal, whether it's from the wing or up top. And make it a pick-and-roll offense.
Lewandowski against Kaufman. McCormack has been quiet today. 32 goals on the season. Here's a good look. Lewandowski, and that one squeaks through. It's 8-5. 3 points now for J.J. Lewandowski.
Textbook team offense. It shows you that offensive coordinator, Jake Bernhardt, dialed it up during halftime. It starts with a wing dodge in the near side through McConvey, and then JJ has the opportunity to dodge the long defensive approach. That is a man running out at you. There's Jake on the sideline. Terrific work at halftime when you can respond with a well choreographed pattern and a beautiful team goal.
Did you see the graphic? It said Jesse and Jared's brother. Remember when Jared used to be the younger brother of Jesse and Jake when he first came to College Park?
Yeah, you know, Jimmy Bernhardt, the late dad, and their mom, Catherine, always allowed Jared to kind of tag along. So Jared would be in the locker room. You know, he's up to, I don't know, he's like, you know, half the size of the big Bernhardts. And Tillman remembers the first time that Jared came to a Maryland lacrosse camp when he was like 8 or 10 years old. And you look at him now and he towers over the brothers. He's by far the tallest of the trio. But he grew up in the Maryland locker room. Yeah, he grew up in that locker room.
Grill all over McCormack. Big ground ball. It's Ray Hill with the suction.
Jimmy,
16 turnovers. Vermont gets it back on the ride.
The dad would fly up from Orlando or wherever he was working, whether it was Penn State or Houston Texans, and he would call and text John Tillman and say, "Hey, Coach, can I come to practice on Friday?" And Tills was like, "Oh, Jimmy, of course you can." So he'd show up in his gray sweatshirt. He always wore jeans and white sneakers. He'd, hang out on the side and watch practice. And then afterward, he'd pal around with Coach Tillman, who admitted leaning on the father for advice when he first took the Maryland job. That's how respected and revered Jim Bernhardt was.
Tillman telling us that the whole family was always about team and selflessness. Even this game, where all three brothers are involved, he said, "I don't have to talk to him about it. They don't make it about themselves." McConvey on the inside gets hammered. Ball jarred loose, flags down. Here's McNaney out of the cage. He has a goal this season. Bernhardt accelerating. He's like a bolt of lightning. Got his man hung up. Cornell out of the cage. Bernhardt, patience, finds Long. Had a good look if he held on. Instead, shovels it back. Flag coming against Vermont. Fairman against Manning. And we'll get the penalty.
Retag, cross check to the head, 1 minute full time. Retag, cross check to the head,
no
1 minute
parole.
full time.
Absolutely, wow, that's as bad as it gets. You could give David Klosterman 2 minutes unreleasable for that.
So 1 minute non-releasable penalty. So Maryland will have the extra man for the entire minute, even if they score in that interim. Terps 0 for 2 with the extra man. Maryland is led by as many as 5. Wisnowskis to Brown on the wing. Fairman back to Bernhardt. Wisnowskis, that one hits the crossbar. It'll stay with Maryland. Still time on the extra man.
12 and white, Logan Wisnowskis. Lefty hammer, probably their best outside threat. But watch how quickly this ball moves from stick to stick. It's one cradle and a pass.
Bernhardt up top to Brown. Wisnowskis loves that right wing. Natural lefty. Fairman over to Griffin Brown. Wisnowskis touch pass to Maltz. His pass knocked down. Even strength now.
Good D from Vermont. They packed it in, kind of baiting the outside shot.
Bernhardt to Fairman. Fires. And it'll belong to Vermont.
Hanging around all of a sudden, Anish. They're hanging around. That was a critical stop there, the man down. 3-goal margin now, halfway through the third quarter. Chris Fifes has done an amazing job up in Burlington after leading North Carolina as their defensive coordinator to that championship game.
Vermont's just got to figure out a way to turn possessions into shots. The turnovers, they're -8 in turnovers, 17 turnovers. Maryland has 9. And this Maryland defense has a lot to do with it. Makar, Grill, Rahill, Puglisi, Smith, Geppert. McConvey's got a couple of goals. There's the help. Klosterman now from X. Klosterman catch and shoot too high. Former America East Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, David Klosterman. McConvey back to Klosterman.
I thought you were going to say former heavy metal rock guitarist.
That too,
David
perhaps.
Klosterman.
This is Spinal Tap.
16 right behind. Spinal behind. 14 behind.
14 to shoot. There's that little pick game. Limoges against Geppert. Help coming from Smith. Fennick. Shot clock runs out. And here comes Maryland quickly. Kaufman in transition. He's got a goal today. Feeding inside. Bernhardt scores. He's then pushed. And we get multiple flags. Jared Bernhardt's 7th game this season with 5 goals.
And another goal off the turnover in the form of the shot clock violation. Maryland restart ready here as the shot clock violation happens right there. Kaufman is off to the races. The restart, Smith up, Bernhardt caps it off.
Five tickets to the quarterfinals punched already. The winner of Maryland, Vermont will get Notre Dame in South Bend. A sticking point for a lot of Terps fans. Hey, Notre Dame might be the second best team in the country. They're a 6 seed. Maryland's got to go to South Bend to play the Fighting Irish. What do you make of that, Quint?
If you want to find excuses, if you want to develop a reason to get a chip, there's always opportunities in life. It's a challenge, no question. Maryland has 1 day's less preparation, and they go into the Thunderdome of Arlotta.
They still got to finish off Vermont. It's a 4-goal game, 6:45 to go in this third quarter. The Catamounts playing in their first NCAA tournament game. A breakthrough for the program. They came close, lost in the conference championship game in the America East in 2016 and 18 and 19. Beat Albany this year by 5 goals. Third win of the season against Albany.
Yeah, third time. Great league this year. Really fun to watch. Stony Brook with head coach Anthony Gallardi, UMBC and Ryan Moran, Albany and Scott Marr.
Fairman, the question mark. It's 10-5 Maryland.
Personality, enthusiasm. Bubba Fairman is an extrovert. And the pandemic shutdown, tough on extroverts. John Tillman pointing that out to us. But look at that. That's a thing of beauty. That is a tight question mark. You drive up the side and curl away to the outside from the defender, switching hands simultaneously with the jump shot and the change of levels. You said Sandy, Utah, big personality, big energy guy for this franchise.
Birth name Cole, weighed 13 pounds. Mom and Dad nicknamed him Bubba. It stuck. And Dad so instrumental in getting lacrosse off the ground, quite literally, in the state.
Bubba's always positive.
Dreams for Bubba, yeah.
Yeah, homemade field. Former Under Armour All-American. That's where I met Bubba first time. Always has a smile. Always positive. I think he's coming on strong right now, to Anish. I think he's playing his best ball of the year right now.
Maryland comfortable with Fairman as a two-way midi as well. 10-5 Terps, third quarter. Weiss over to Limoges, feeding to Klosterman. McNaney is there. Quint, the goalie lineage under John Tillman has been impressive. Nico Amato, Kyle Bernlohr, Dan Morris, now Logan McNaney.
McNaney's a guy out of Corning, New York, who ended up playing for the Salisbury School. He really was never coached at the youth level, went to very few camps, but he's instinctive and he has watched other goalies. One thing I notice, he's poised, never flustered, and he rarely is out of position. He's technically sound. He's not going to overwhelm you or catch your eye with a flamboyant style. He's very bread and butter, very vanilla, but effective.
Wisnauskas around the bend. I am Groot. His second. It's 11-5.
6'3" senior. Transfer from Syracuse via Boys Latin, the source of all beautiful ties. Don't label this guy a lefty one-dimensional shooter from the wing, because his game has grown.
John Tillman said he and Bernhardt, personality-wise, so different from Rambo and Heacock. Rambo and Heacock, gregarious, outgoing, cracking jokes. They kept things light. So Bernhardt and Wisnauskas, they don't talk a whole lot, but their play does a lot of talking. When Wisnauskas first showed up, his teammates were calling him Groot because he was a man of few words, laconic. There's DeMeo, fifth-year senior from San Diego. Long commandeers the offense from behind. Turns the corner, one-handed shot wide. And it's picked up by DeMeo. Cornell got a piece. It'll reset the shot clock.
This offense plays with a great tempo. The ball doesn't die in sticks.
Long spins away. Maltz 2 assists today. 7 on the season, entering play. Long with a great pass to Mayo. Rifles it wide. Fairman tried to keep it in the offensive half, and Vermont comes away with it. Kyle Derrickson. Paul Governale now, upended. Off the scramble, it's Bubba Fairman.
It was a pole goal gone awry. From a viral clip to a blooper.
Best laid plans. Bernhardt with 5 goals today. Gets topside, saved Cornell.
That was great anticipation from Cornell. From that range, there are times, I don't want to say you have to guess, but you got to be instinctive, you got to react, you got to read. And Bernhardt dropped his stick down low and came with a low release and a low location. Cornell was there. He got down and smothered it.
Maryland has won 31 straight games when scoring at least 10 goals. McConvey missed the mark and landed in the crease. Or I guess the goal mouth. Duke High Point, Denver Loyola to follow us. The Blue Devils preseason #1, the #2 seed. Got Michael Sowers, the big transfer prize in the offseason from Princeton. And Kai Montgomery has been a first-team All-America caliber midfielder this year. Joe Robertson back from injury. And they've really upgraded in goal. Mike Adler's been a game changer defensively with JT Giles Harris, Tyler Carpenter. Kenny Brower's played well. Now this is as good of a defensive Duke team as we've seen under John Danowski.
I don't love their defensive midfielders.
Save Cornell. That's why we've seen Duke, Quinn, play a lot of settled sets this year. As we have a second left here in the third. Maryland pulling away. The Terps 15 minutes away from El Dorado. John Tillman and company trying to hold on to get to South Bend for the quarterfinals. 11-5 Terps. We go to the fourth in College Park. We go to the fourth quarter in College Park. A trip to the quarterfinals on the line. And we remind you, NCAA men's lacrosse coverage continues next weekend for the quarters. It all begins Saturday, noon Eastern on ESPNU. For more information on the 2021 Men's Lacrosse Championship, visit ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Maryland has won the battle at the face-off X today against Tommy Burke, one of the best face-off men in the nation. Came in third at 72%. Shockey is 12 of 20 for the Terps.
Burke's put together a great season, third in the country in that department at 72%. But he gets battle tested today. Pipe shot, just to hear the ooh and the ah from the crowd, Anish. I mean, last night with those Georgetown students here, that was awesome. That was, to me, that was like dopamine. I could hardly sleep. I was so fired up just seeing those youngsters with the painted faces and everybody celebrating, and man, I missed that.
So that's a double dose of dopamine for you. You get the morning yoga and then you get the fans at the game.
Think about these players, though, too, for them. You know, the comment I heard last night through some texts I got was, wow, it was really loud. Well, it actually really wasn't that loud. It just seemed loud because of what you've been playing in empty stadiums this year.
We'll
show you loud. We can show you loud on Memorial Day weekend.
We hope so. East Hartford this year. Lewandowski against Smith. Limoges, there he is, right on the crease. 11-6.
Never quit, keep believing. Limoges, the senior from Toronto. Excellent instincts around the goal. I think McConvey picks up the assist here. Look at him. Little rocker step up top, drives the alley, draws the eyes of the defense. Limoges is planted on the wing and just makes quick business of this. Toronto, Canada. This Vermont team's got more than a handful of guys from north of the border.
The northernmost Division I school. And recruiting Canada, a big part of how Vermont built its roster. Sure, off the ground, plays it back to Rahill.
Anish, if you've ever been to Burlington, you know they got
I
a
have
good
not
hockey
been
program up
to
there.
Burlington. I've not really spent much time there, no.
Northwest Vermont, near Lake Champlain. Their hockey arena, the Gut, is awesome. But the town is really unique. It's only 42,000. Funky, free-spirited, kind of artsy. Got a bunch of breweries that are really cool. And when Coach brings recruits on campus, they either love it or not so much, but it's immediate.
Another goal by Maryland, back to doubling up Vermont. It's 12-6. Griffin Brown, who led Colgate in goals the last 4 years. Former Patriot League Rookie of the Year in 2017. He, Eric Holden, Eric Molliver, part of that second midfield group. John Tillman cited those three as being X factors in May.
That was a nice placement. Landon School in Bethesda. 20 goals at Colgate in 2019, and then really blew up in 2020. 21 goals in a shortened season. Grad student with a wicked outside shot, but I love the hockey stop there, the change of direction, that stop where you turn your feet and stop like a hockey player. And then he gets top side.
Maryland came into this game averaging 16 goals per game. Only North Carolina was averaging more. Terps had the top scoring margin in the country. More than 9.5 goals, better than their opponents per game. Fairman's got a goal today to DeMayo.
It's a strong performance from the Terps today, considering that they had final exams this week. It's a lot going on. You forget these guys are true student athletes. Practice schedules changes. They had to put the whole team up on a spreadsheet and figure out when they could practice. Guys dealing with a little less sleep, a little more academic stress. Zone now from Vermont on defense.
Dangerous against Maryland with their passers. Bernhardt, Wisnauskas, Long. And the way they can move the ball. Here comes Fairman. DeMayo lost it. Pops into the air. And picked up by Will Jones, junior from Florida, first team All-America East.
I like the initial defense from Stone Jacobs, the sophomore from Quebec, 42, in the awesome green, evergreen uniforms. Stone Jacobs with that 42, he looks like kind of like a mini Max Seaball, former star at Cornell.
Now Vermont's not going to get this over. 20 turnovers for Vermont. Going into this game, Quint, you said it. Vermont had to dominate the faceoff X. It's been the other way around. Maryland has had the advantage. You couple that with turnovers, and now forget possession advantage. There is a significant possession disadvantage. You make it almost impossible. Kyle Long finds the back of the net. His second.
Unofficially, Maryland's 8th goal directly off a Vermont turnover. Long, short area quickness. choppy footwork, gets top side. The adjacent slide is not there, and he's able up to rip that one left-handed over the shoulder of Cornell. I think Kyle Long is a huge barometer player for Maryland over the rest of this month.
Ajax Zapatello. He's got a brother, Hopper, at Boys Latin. You may own one of his ties.
He's a recent student. My ties go back to the mid-90s, Anish.
Maryland ball is scored by number 23, Kyle Long. Number 10-2.
Eric Holden came to Maryland from Hobart with the goal of just this, playing in the NCAA tournament and having a chance to win a title. Maltz, saved by Cornell, sprawling out of the cage. Quint, what does Vermont get out of a game like this from a program standpoint?
I think it's huge. They get exposure, but the experience of this whole week, you know, they win their league championship for the first time, and the NCAA bid, it's immediate credibility and clout with recruits. And going forward, they benefit. You know, it's so hard to get in the NCAA tournament that first time and win a game. And so it's just part of the building evolution and building process for Coach Fives.
Fennick, checked by Kaufman, who's had a big game with a goal and an assist. Now Klosterman. Well, if Vermont's going to go down swinging, now the one thing we need to see a couple of outside bombs from McCormack. That's McConvey finding the back of the net. 13-7. McConvey, you said he can play with anybody. 2 goals, making 3 goals now, 2 assists today.
He's a junior. He's got a shot to be a pro and play in the PLL down the road. Toronto native, 50-point season from the midfield. We've seen his outside game. We've seen his inside presence. Thomas McConvey is a horse.
John Tillman, now in his 11th season at Maryland, headed to the quarterfinals in less than 8 minutes if Maryland holds on. And Tillman in the quarters, 7-1, starting to develop a pretty impressive coaching tree. Ryan Moran and UMBC in the tournament in 2019. Kevin Connery in Michigan made a lot of progress this year, especially late in the season. Kevin Warren in Georgetown won their first NCAA tournament game since 2007 last night. J.L. Reppert, you got to give him a mulligan. He was hired to be Holy Cross's head coach, what, a few weeks before the season started.
You got a bunch of assistants also roaming around the landscape, Bernhardt's and others. When you look at John Tillman, the stamp that he's putting on the college game, I think recruiting, he's a tenacious and effective recruiter. The relationship building component, he's outstanding in that department. You know, he finds a way to bond with players. I mean, the example for goalie Logan McNaney is they share music. They have similar music tastes, you know, hard rock music from the 80s and the 90s. And then his game preparation. This is a guy who will occasionally text me at 6 a.m. or 11 p.m. with that gem.
Kyle Long with a hat trick.
Such a difference maker for this team to go from good to exceptional. Man, the no-look behind the back bouncer. Wow, what? Hand-eye coordination to catch this, flip it over, bounce it at the top of the crease, use the earth to singe a corner and celebrate with your buds.
Maryland has a friend on SportsCenter, so we may see that at some point this weekend.
He didn't like the seating when the bracket came out.
Talking about our colleague Scott Van Pelt. Wisnauskas loads up Cornell to save. Yeah, the last point, Quint, about John Tillman, the ability to adapt and evolve. In the early days when he took over Maryland, when they had to do more with less, he was incredibly successful. 2011, an unseeded team, getting them to championship weekend and Memorial Day before they fell to Virginia. 2012, getting back to Memorial Day, and they came up short, but then as they got better players, the Rambos and Heacocks, it was deviation from the system and letting the horses run and changing his approach based on who he had and the pieces he had. And we see that in other sports sometimes, and we also see it go the other way in some sports where a coach will come in and say, well, this is my style and this is what we play, not looking at the specific skill sets of his players and what's best for the team. And John Tillman has adapted, he's evolved.
Give him credit for bringing in Bob Benson, former Johns Hopkins longtime assistant. Guy from a different realm of coaching and opening up the door and welcoming that expertise, that proprietary information. And Benson's been a great fit. And for Tillman to kind of put his ego aside and make the right hire at the 23rd hour of their season.
Benson was in Atlanta at the time. He had just moved down there, had been a long-time offensive coordinator at Johns Hopkins. His wife had a promising career of her own as Vermont tallies one more. There's McCormack with that cannon.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And Bobby Benson talking to him earlier this year, he said, you know, if it's another coach, I'm not sure I say yes. But because it was John Tillman, and he had faced John Tillman in the Hopkins, Maryland battles over the years, it made the decision easy. And Benson lives at his dad's house in the D.C. area, doing a long-distance marriage. He reminds me all the time, his wife is the real MVP for allowing him to do this. Taking care of career, kids, house, everything back in Atlanta. And he'll probably head down there after this game to go see his family if they're not up here.
Bobby's super smart, a Rain Man type mind when it comes to the sport of lacrosse. Came in with low ego too. It was a good fit right from the start. He knew the personnel in the Big Ten. Gradually kind of implemented his stuff. The hire was so late that he couldn't, steamroll his scheme. So he kind of had to be flexible and kind of run with what's already been established.
Fairman against Spencer Decker, and now Bernhardt. He's got 5 goals today. Make it 6. Swift as a shadow, short as a dream. And he's going to give Vermont nightmares all off season.
Sidearm dart. Brother Jesse. The way he uses his body and protects his stick with the shoulders and his elbows. See him use the elbow right there with the two-handed cradle? Running off the pick. And that's his 6th goal. Ed Mullen has the school record for most goals in a playoff game. It's 7, set in 1976 against the Naval Academy.
Think of the numbers he's put up of late. 8 goals in the Big Ten semis against Michigan. 6 in round 1. Up to 59 goals on the season.
The Tewaaraton takes care of itself. And
it does. It does.
Everyone's at debates in February, March, April. It takes care of itself.
It doesn't matter until we get to Memorial Day weekend, because normally that's when it's decided. Maryland saw that a few years ago. Matt Rambo certainly was in the conversation all season long. But when the Terps won it all, it was Rambo's award. Same with Ben Reeves in 2018. 2019, Pat Spencer won it. Loyola reached the quarterfinals, and Spencer was unstoppable in round one that year against Syracuse. And had a big game against Penn State in Loyola's last game. That was a close one, though. Spencer and Ament was a good debate until the end. Griffin Brown, 16-8 Terps. All right, Quint, let's look ahead a little bit. Nobody's been able to stop Jared Bernhardt, but nobody has a close defense like Notre Dame. Keelty, Cohen, Thornton. Now, Notre Dame isn't matchup oriented, so it's not as if Jack Keelty, the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, will match right up on Bernhardt at all times. But give me your first glance at Maryland and Notre Dame.
The Maryland that we saw today is playing better than the Notre Dame we saw yesterday. That was a real subpar offensive performance from Notre Dame, especially in the second half. They led 7-3 over Drexel at halftime and scored one goal over the next 25 or so minutes.
Some of that was Blumenthal, the Drexel goalie, but there were still some clearing issues, and we have seen that pop up in a couple of Notre Dame's losses, clearing especially late in games.
I think it's a toss-up game, quite honestly.
It doesn't feel like it's a quarterfinal game. It's a shame one of those teams won't go to championship weekend, because Maryland, Notre Dame in this season feels like a game where if you told us a few weeks ago, this is what we're going to see on Memorial Day, we sign up for it.
They're all the same nowadays, you know? They're all the same. The quarters and the semis and the finals. It's basically you're playing a similar opponent. And I'll say it all tournament long. It's really not about your opponent. It's about how you play.
Maryland played Notre Dame last year. And that, I believe, was Logan McNaney's first start, if I'm not mistaken. .220 to go in regulation. Maryland just looking to put the ribbon and wrapping paper on this one, and it sets up the showdown of the quarterfinal round when we looked at the bracket. And you're starting to project, okay, what are potential matchups? The one quarterfinal matchup, potential matchup at the time that we circled, was Maryland and Notre Dame. We're going to get it next week in South Bend. You and I will be there, and that's going to be a great chess match, as we said. Bernhardt and this Maryland offense, which moved the ball so effectively today against that defense, Quint.
I think you look at Notre Dame, maybe an advantage in that game is face-offs. With Kyle Gallagher and Charlie Leonard on paper. Again, Maryland's kind of unpredictable in the face-off department. They always seem to come up with solutions when faced with a statistical disadvantage. I think Bernhardt's an X factor. Jack Keelty has been perhaps the Schmeiser Award winner this year. From what I see, he's the top one or two cover guys in the country with Will Bowen of North Carolina. That'll be interesting to see if Maryland can penetrate that Notre Dame defense. The weakness of that defense is on the interior. You saw that with Drexel yesterday. Drexel force-fed the crease a couple times. They ended up getting 3 rebound goals as well. The riding and clearing game's fascinating. So there's a lot of analysis that can go on. I just didn't think that Notre Dame looked as sharp yesterday. Big advantage, though, playing at home on Arlotta, where Tommy McNamara will come bounding out of the locker room playing the bagpipes.
Scotland the Brave is the entry song for the Fighting Irish, and I asked Tommy McNamara about that. I said, are you the bagpiper? Why Scotland the Brave when you're the Fighting Irish? And he was very candid. He said, that's the only song I know. So, fair enough. It's a hard instrument to play, Quint. I don't want to hear any criticism of McNamara.
He's the best bagpiper I've heard since Ryan Mix.
How long ago was Mix?
I have no idea. They all mold together in this language.
2 minutes and change to go.
just
A
glad
banner
to be there
season
in
for
person.
Vermont. It will be fun to be there in person.
This is the start of something
For
good up in
Vermont.
Vermont. Yeah, this is the start of
They
something
made
special.
progress this year, won the America East, first trip to the NCAA tournament. We said it at the top of the broadcast, though, as Vermont gets another. There has been no more consistent team. Might have been Fennick. That might have been McConvey. If that is McConvey, that's 4. But there's been no more consistent team in the last 10 years since Maryland. Yeah, that was McConvey. That's 4.
Maryland got 1 title to show for it in 2017, and I think you could argue that they had the best team in 3 or 4 of those years. Just didn't walk away with the championship. You look at what the Whip Snakes have done in the PLL, and you know, this is a dynasty. John Tillman's got the dynasty going.
Luke Weirman, his first career goal. Make it, take it. 17-9. Maryland making a first-round statement.
Listen to the reaction to this goal. Gives me the chills.
The ping, the sound, and then the tumult and the shouting from the stands. High Point Duke follows our game. Jay Alter, Shane Stanwick, Burge will have you call for that one. Regular season rematch. Duke won big the first time, 27-8. High Point, SoCon champions. 2 years ago, they beat a pair of national semifinalists, Duke and eventual champion Virginia. This year, they took Virginia and North Carolina down to the wire. And in 2 other games against the ACC were blown out by UNC and blown out by Duke. So they played Carolina twice, Duke and Virginia.
I got to tell you, they're a fun team to watch.
Lewandowski has a hat trick.
Left-handed. He's only a sophomore. Convey's coming back next year. They'll have to restock some of the attack. Chris Fifes will. JJ's put together a strong campaign and an excellent game today. He's been really active. He's been getting looks. He's been consistently able to separate from the midfield defense pressure. And that's, you know, that's a classic. He's a right-handed player. Righty high, lefty low. If you're a young goalie, righty high, lefty low. Most righties gonna let it rip high.
A bouncer by Burke. Some Tommy points late at 17-11.
He too only a sophomore.
He showed up last year as an early enrollee. He was 17 years old. Put in the work in the offseason with PLL guys, added about 20 pounds of muscle. And he was one of the best face-off men in the country statistically coming into the game. 72% entering today. The only one that's nervous right now are the Las Vegas Lines people. I don't know what the exact number is, but Vermont has made that part of it interesting.
Oh, yeah. Like a hook.
Miles on green 46, cross check, 1 minute. Green 46, cross, 1 minute.
Cross check against Liam Limoges. 35 seconds to go. Duke High Point next. Denver Loyola in the nightcap.
You see that look on John Tillman's face? It's because he's opened the bench here. and he's put some guys out there who haven't got much playing time this year, and the game kind of got a little sloppy and sideways, and that's how focused and detailed he is as a coach. You know, it's like the standard's got to remain all 60. I don't care who I put in the game, the standard's got to remain all 60.
We're going to get a titanic quarterfinal matchup between Maryland and Notre Dame. Many thought at the end of the season this was the year for Notre Dame. A program that's done it all but win a championship. They'll have to go through Maryland. Terps will be in South Bend. Under John Tillman, Maryland has won the most NCAA tournament games in the past decade. They've been to championship weekend the most times. They've had the most All-Americans, and the pro ranks are littered with Terrapins. Maryland takes care of Vermont 17-11. They remain unbeaten 13-0, and now to South Bend, Indiana to take on Notre Dame in the most anticipated quarterfinal matchup this season. Capital One player of the game, spoiler alert, Jared Bernhardt. 6 goals and an assist. He is making brilliance look routine. This was his 7th game this season with at least 5 goals. The Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. Maryland's all-time scoring leader. A finalist for the Tewaaraton, the most prestigious award in the sport. Pretty good mixtape he put on for us today.
A little bit of everything. Speed dodge from behind the goal, a cut, and finish in traffic without it. The change of direction. The eyes up, being a team player. Reading the defense. Left-handed from mid-range, playing with and without the ball. He's no one-trick pony, I tell you that, man. His toolbox runneth over. Nobody has that depth of skill set. So many different weapons in his arsenal.
He had already set Maryland's single-season goals record in the Big Ten tournament. His first goal in the quarterfinal will make him the first 60-goal scorer in the proud history of Terrapin Lacrosse. Maryland and Notre Dame, the matchup is set. It's been mostly chalk in this first round. We still have 2 more games. We're not done from College Park. We hope to talk to John Tillman on the other side. Maryland on to the quarterfinals, an impressive first